Have you ever picked up your phone to look something up and next thing you know, 30 minutes have gone by? And if that has happened to you, how did you feel afterwards? Did you feel kind of sheepish about that squandered time? Did you feel unmotivated? Today, we're going to be talking about how to stop doom scrolling, stop mindless scrolling, and get our life back. And I think you might be surprised by the last one. Carla, how are you? Before we get into that conversation, we're going to have a little chit chat on the front end. Oh, by the way, this is Looking Up, a podcast for Christian women. I'm Kathy Pollard. This is Carla Moore with me. We're your hosts, and our objective every week is to encourage you. We just hope that you'll join us for a good conversation. And when we're done, you'll have a little spring in your step and you'll be encouraged and you will have been reminded to look up. All right, so I know you want to tell us what's going on in your life because you had a little bit of a doozy of a week, didn't you?
We did. We did. But you said spring in your step, and that reminded me. This will come out on Monday after the day after daylight saving. So we will have
Ooh,
daylight.
woohoo!
I know there's people that absolutely hate that. And I honestly don't get it. I know parents, when you're trying to get your kids to bed, that's frustrating, but they get used to it after a few days. And I don't
They'll
know,
get over it.
I just like having the daylight on that end of the day as
Me
opposed to on the
too.
beginning, because I can get up in the dark with no problem. But
Mhm.
anyway, yes, glad for spring coming and daylight and all that. Yeah, doozy of a week, that's for sure. We are here in Texas still, not
Mhm.
in Israel like we were supposed to be. We were supposed to be flying right now. Today is Wednesday that we're talking and recording. So Friday we went to Jake and Liz's from Wednesday to Friday last week, and on Friday morning we woke up and you were one of them. We got all these texts. Did you see this? Have you seen the State Department warning? And so yeah, we get those notifications too. And the State Department was warning all non-essential employees to get out of Israel if they wanted to.
Mhm.
And so we knew we'd been feeling like something might happen. With all of the ships that they sent over there, it was just an awful lot of expense for them to not actually do something. And then I think my brother told me that they had sent some F-16. Well, I don't even know if that's the kind of jet it was, but the kind that refill midair. And uh, so, things are just looking more and more like something's about to happen. And so we were just saying, we need to pray that if it's going to happen, it happens before we get on a plane.
Mhm.
Because, we were due to be there for a full month. And then we had a group of 57 coming from March the 5th until the 17th, something like that. And then another one from the 19th through April 1st. So um, Saturday morning we woke up and it had already started. So we're very, very grateful to not having been there. Um, it's just been like a domino though, as far as the tour issues and the dominoes falling, one falls and then the next falls. But there's good things. Of course, God's taking care of us, and we knew He would anyway. But the fact that airlines canceled, that kind of helped to make the decision for us, because if they didn't cancel, then they only have to give you a credit. They don't have to give you a refund. So the airlines have canceled, and so refunds are coming, and now we're just trying to pull some of the money back that we'd already paid so that we can give that back to the people that go on with us. And we think it's going to work out, but it's been quite interesting. And I told you, we felt like we were going 120 miles an hour and ready to go. And we call it our staging area where we pile all the things that we're going to pack, and it's still over there piled. And now we're going 5 miles an hour. We're like, I don't even know what to do. I organized my closet this morning, and I've got a puzzle on the dining room table now. So in a way, it's like bonus time. But at
Mhm.
the same time, it's just, especially John, he just put so much time
Mhm.
like organizing it and putting the schedule together. And there's so much to that. Like how long does it take you to drive from Beersheba to Jerusalem and packing that, putting that in your day and figuring out how much time you need to spend on travel, how much time you can spend at site. So anyway, we're grateful that we're safe and all of our people are safe, and we're praying for our friends there. Sandro
Mhm.
Jadon, he was going to be our tour guide. He's got his own, he and his sister Natalie have their own business. Uh, and he's a member of the church there in Nazareth. You know, Sandro.
Mhm.
And so I feel terrible for him because really when he started his guiding business, his tour business, it was right about the time we were supposed to go in 2023 in October when that happened and we couldn't go. And so they're suffering. They're safe, but they're suffering. A lot of them there are suffering. So need to pray for them and pray for the people of Iran. I feel like it's going to be safer overall, but I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, nobody does. And I know this much about all that. So that's the short story. It turned out to be a long story.
It just keeps impressing upon me that you don't know what a day will bring. We plan and prepare for schedules and things that were going to happen. And we've seen that seems like a lot in recent years. You and I were just talking about that. And even, we had a little tiny taste of it with the Freed Hardman lectures because we were supposed to go over there for a couple of days and we'd been, going over our lessons and ended up being canceled for the ice and stuff. And it was just so weird. Oh, we thought we were going to be leaving town. Oh, now we're not. Oh, but that was just 2 days. I can't
Mhm.
imagine the grand scale and all the details. You're taking care of a big old group of two big old groups of people for a month and preparing to be gone. So not only are you preparing for your time in Israel, but you're preparing everything in Texas that you're leaving behind and putting those in other people's hands. So I can't even imagine. But like you say, I'm so thankful it happened on the front end instead of when you were there.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare for sure.
Yeah.
My mom's real happy we're not going.
I bet.
And we'll get to do some things like we'll get to go to Lads to Leaders and
Mhm.
I know Jackson, Amy, and Claire are taking part in that. So we'll get to do some things that we wouldn't have been able to do originally. So it's
Good.
all going to be fine. We know, trust God, He'll take care of things and we'll figure it all out. And He'll help us figure it all out.
Mhm. He sure will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else you got?
Um, well, oh, I haven't told you that I found some things at Goodwill. And I'll just
Hey,
tell
you've
you,
been
it's been a long time.
thrifting.
Yeah. But I found two really, really nice outdoor chairs, not the kind that you leave on your porch, but folding rocking chairs. So it's like a camping chair, but it's a rocking chair.
Hmm.
And it was one of those deals where you walk in and you see them. I could see them. I was towards the front of the store and I could see it toward the back. And I'm like willing people to leave them alone because I was trying to make a beeline for it. But you also don't want to like run because then everybody's like, "Oh, what you want? I'm going to go get it." It gets really competitive. So I went back there and they were like perfect condition. They were covered in some leaves and a little dirt, but it looked to me like they had just been sitting in somebody's shed for summer, because
Mm-hmm.
they still had the tags on them. And I
Oh,
looked
wow.
them up and they're like $150 chairs. So I'm pretty
Wow.
excited about that. That's the
Oh,
only thing
yeah.
I found recently, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What's going
Hmm.
on with you?
Well, I actually want to share my something good for you on the front end.
Okay.
And I'm going to share three something good for yous on the front end because so many good things are happening. And the first one is um, if you're listening in and you're already familiar with Come Fill Your Cup, you want to check out their Facebook page because for this next 12 weeks, well, they started last night, but for a 12-week period, they're doing a study of the minor prophets and they're doing them live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, I believe. Christy Huntsman kicked it off with a study of Hosea.
Hmm.
And they always do such a good job. If you've been to the Come For Your Cup website and you've seen their books that are textual studies, what do they call those books? That series?
Give me a minute. I'll come up with it. Keep talking.
Deeper something, I don't remember, but you'll look it up. But oh, Finer Grounds.
That's it. Yeah.
The Finer Ground series, they're always such good, rich studies,
Mhm.
but I think it's really cool what they're doing, especially Minor Prophets is not necessarily my strong suit.
Yeah, me either.
So, and the cool thing is, like with these videos, that you may not be able to watch it live at 7 o'clock, although if you can kind of interact a little bit, but it's just there. So you could
Yeah.
go right now to the Come Fill Your Cup Facebook page and watch the one on Jose or listen to it. So I want everybody to know about that. I want everybody to know about something that we've started called Tiny Spark, which
Mhm.
is a new snail mail club. So this is for old-fashioned people like me who like to get fun things in the mail and want to break from the digital age sometimes. So I'm going to have a letter in there, and then I'm going to interview a Christian woman every month, and that's the part I'm most excited about. And so the woman I chose was Christy Huntsman for the
Mhm.
very first one. And when I sent her a few questions, I didn't mention anything about the length. And so it was really only supposed to be the front side of one sheet of paper. But
Mhm.
she sent me, it was so good. I mean, I'm reading it thinking this needs to be in a book somewhere. It was that good. And so I ended up creating a QR code, like at the end of it to say, for the rest of it, go here because you're going to want to
Great
read all
idea.
this stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just, but she talks about, one of the questions I asked was, what advice would you give for somebody struggling with their personal Bible study?
Mhm.
And what she said is so good. And then
Good.
she's got her hands in so many different things. Come Fill Your Cup, the magazine that y'all are doing.
Mhm.
She's the editor for that also. She's the homesteader, she's a mom and
It's a very successful YouTube channel.
very successful YouTube channel, homestead channel. Yeah. And so I said, you've got so much going on. What time management tips do you have? And that was so good. So anyway, I'm really excited about it, and we'll share a link to that too. So the third opportunity is Equipped, which I think we've already mentioned on here, but I want to mention again. It is because it's coming up next month. It is April 23rd through 26th, and in Bowling Green at our congregation, Cumberland Trace Church of Christ. You and I are recording the Looking Up podcast there again. The study is Genesis. It's going to be a great theme. But we have lots of really good speakers coming in. I jotted some of them down so I could mention Dan Winkler, Mike Vestal, John Moore. You might know him.
I know him.
Um, Alan Webster, Steve Higginbotham, lots of great guys. We have lady sessions by Cherie Vestal, Lori Boyd, Bethany Butt, my sister speaking. Um, Andy Baker's coming to do the singing
Mhm.
again, lead the singing, and we have displays in a bookstore. Brittany Kemp's Bluegrass Beans and the Fellowship Hall coffee shop, and then we have food trucks set up in the parking lot, and it's free.
Yeah.
So come take advantage of that if you're in the area. We would love to see you. And so those are the three things that I thought there is so much. When spring comes, I kind of feel that sense of, okay, we've been holed up long enough in this
Yeah.
cold stuff. I'm ready. I'm ready
Mhm.
for growth and renewal and, fresh starts. And I feel like these are kind of some wonderful opportunities that are gonna enhance that.
Yeah.
So wanted to
Yeah.
share it. So that's my something good for you. I started out with it. I'm not gonna share one at the end.
Okay. Well, I can or won't. We'll worry about it
You
later.
can. You
I'm so
can.
glad that you brought up your tiny spark because I didn't know if you would or not. Since
I
it's,
almost didn't, but I did.
well, I was going to ask you about it, so you would have had to talk
Thanks.
about it anyway. But I think that's such a fun idea. I mean,
Thank
it's a like a club,
you.
like kind of a pen, not a pen pal because people aren't writing you back, although you probably will get some mail back, which would be fun. You could even
Hmm.
say, "Hey, write me back," because who doesn't like
Yeah, that would
getting
be fun.
mail?
Hmm.
But it was funny to me because I don't think I've told you, and you didn't tell me about this. But my column for the Grow and the new Excel Her magazine. Sorry, I can't remember the name of it. Grow and Glorify.
That
Gather. I
sounds
think
great.
it's
That
Grow and
sounds great.
Glorify. The new magazine. Anyway, my column is interviews. I'm interviewing people. And here you're doing interviews in your snail mail club. I think it's just fun. We both enjoy hearing about other people and
Mhm.
and finding out their stories. So
Mhm.
that's neat.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited for y'all.
Thanks. I'm excited about it too.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that I'm tucking in some art So
Proud of you.
thanks. I mean, it's mine. It's not some professional or anything like that, but
Well,
I'm
it's
leaving
a
them blank so that I thought about turning it into like a postcard kind of a thing, but I'm just leaving them blank. And that way, if somebody wants to use it as a card for somebody else, or they just want to tape it to their fridge or give it away, or like you can do with it whatever you want. So,
cool.
mhm.
Is it going to be, is it like a 3 by 5?
Yeah, it's smaller. Yeah, because I have like a legal sized envelope,
Hmm.
business sized envelope, I guess
Okay.
you call them traditional. So it needs to fit in there with my tissue paper around it. So.
And you're writing a letter.
Yes. I have a letter and then I have a memory verse in there and a prayer prompt that go together. So based on what the memory verse is, the prayer prompt is tied to that. And what in my mind, I'm thinking that you can put your prayer prompt on your nightstand by your bed. So you can think about it first thing in the morning and before you go to bed. And you can put your memory verse, on your fridge or something or on your kitchen window so you can see it every day and just go through it. So, and
There
then
you
with
go.
all those things, if people are wondering, well, what do I do with all these things? Well, a lot of people are into junk journaling now, so that'd be really fun stuff to
I don't know what
stick.
that is.
It's like people are keeping these big binders and they're just tucking junk in them, receipts and tickets and like
Like a
old
scrapbook
school.
kind of thing?
Very, yes, very analog scrapbooking style, only now they call it junk journaling. So it'd be fun for stuff like that. But a lot of this stuff can just be passed along if you don't want to keep it. Tuck one of that memory verse or the prayer prompt into a card, or you can just pass on to somebody else if you want. So
Sweet. I
thanks.
like it.
Is there anything else you want to share before we get into our topic?
I was just going to tell you, I mentioned that we went to Jake and Lewis's for a few days last week. And so they bought this property with some friends of theirs. And
Right, I remember
their
that.
friends have 4 kids. They have 3 kids. So as you can imagine, it's kids everywhere.
Hmm.
And they're both very non-screen, they're not on their phones. They're not on iPads. They get like 30 minutes of TV a day.
Nice.
And so it was so much fun to watch all of them. Let's see, their oldest is 6, and then they have a baby that's like 6 months. So they range in 7 kids from 6 to 6 months.
Wow.
And I mean, there's activity, they're like scootering around the circle everywhere. And uh, Liz's friend Jessica told me that the best gift that the kids got for Christmas was they each got like a set of shoestrings, like the big, wide, long shoestrings. And I was like, shoestrings?
Hmm.
She said, yes, you
They were
would
on a
not.
shoestring budget.
Yuck, yuck, yuck. So, but I watched them. They had these big shoestrings, and so there was three of them on their scooters, and they tied their scooters together with the shoestrings. And so they were racing around the circle, tied together. So that was one thing I saw them do. One of them was using them like as horse reins.
Huh.
One of them she had the like a hand towel around her head and she tied it and said she was Mary. So I'm like,
Interesting.
shoestrings. And Jessica was saying, you just never know when they are using their imaginations. They just have the best time with
That's
shoestrings. So
fantastic.
I know. And now I'm
I
thinking,
love that.
I'm saving anytime I get a pair of pants. I know you don't do this, but when I get a pair of pants as a drawstring, I pull it out because
So do I.
I don't tuck things in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to throw that away because I'm like, somebody could use this for something. I might use it. So I have them hanging in my closet. Drawstrings. I'm going to send those drawstrings to them. So,
I actually have never kept mine. Now I feel wasteful.
but they also told me about this game called The Mind. And I thought you would probably have a blast with this. We didn't have time to play it, but I looked at the box. I'll send you a picture of it. And all it is like a deck of cards from 1 to 100. And you have your hand of cards and you're playing with your partners and you're trying to put them down in order. But of course, you don't have the whole 100 cards in the 4 hands or however many people you play in. And so you have to use your facial expression to convince the people around you that you have the next best card. So if somebody puts down a two and you've got four, and they might have seven or 10 or whatever, but you're like, you can't like point at yourself, but you can go, like you, I mean, you just have to use your face.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, and I am gonna get it because I think that sounds really fun. And they just
That's
talked about how
amazing.
they laughed and laughed and laughed. So the mind is what the game is called.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah,
definitely getting that one.
I knew you would like that.
Very cool.
Okay, but that's all I got.
That wasn't even your something good for us.
No,
Wow. You are bringing it today.
I don't know. You've already had three. Is it some things good for you or something good for yous?
I,
Some
I
things
guess that would
good for
be some
you.
things. Yes. Some goodies for you.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Are you ready
I'm
to
ready.
jump in? All
Ready.
right. So we've decided to call this the opposite of doom scrolling. Now, we're going to use that term a little broadly today. I imagine doom scrolling is specifically about taking in unsettling content, whether it's news, what's going on in the world, and there's a lot of that right now. You see a lot of things out there about we're not meant to know everything. Yeah. So things that you see on the phone that just leave you feeling anxious, whatever that is, whatever negative thing you're running across that you don't like. But we're going to broaden that out a little bit to use it in light of just mindless time on your phone, really. And it's so easy to do.
Mhm.
And it's like the digital equivalent of walking into a room and you get distracted and then you forget why you walked into that room in the first place.
Yeah.
That has happened to me so many times. I pick up my phone to do something, I get distracted by a notification, I go off onto who knows where, and next thing I come back around and I'm like, why did I pick this up in the first
What am I
place?
here for?
I don't even know. So, Um, I don't really want to camp too much on, the trouble of spending too much time on our phones because that information is all out there. I've mentioned on here before that we subscribe to the Epic Times. Oh, I've got one right next to me. Hold on.
Okay.
So this, you get one paper copy of the paper every week, and then every other day it comes in your email and stuff. But in almost every issue, they've got some kind of article in here about the danger of screen time and spending so much time on our phones. And seems like it affects everything, emotions, mental health, physical health, the ability to remember things and creativity. I mean, anxiety. I mean, just all kinds of stuff that it's always addressing. So all that information is already out there, but we know. I mean, how often is it that you mindlessly scroll on your phone and you actually feel good afterwards?
Ooh.
I mean, every now and then you see something hilarious and send it to a friend and get a good laugh.
Smile.
And that makes you feel good. But typically, if I'm just sitting there and next thing I know, I've been like trolling for 15, 20 minutes or longer, afterwards I'm like, why did I just do that? You don't feel good. And they've discovered that there's this feelings that can come on you of everything in life feels more difficult,
Mm,
isn't that weird? It can leave you feeling unmotivated. Some have compared it to a feeling of being hungover,
mm,
like people that have drunk and then had a hangover the next morning, they describe it in that same way. That those constant dopamine hits that you're seeking can lead to lethargy, which is ironic. And so it's mindless entertainment and spending of our time. And then oftentimes on the other side of that, we just feel worse. So we're going to talk about how to avoid some of that and maybe what the opposite of that looks like. And obviously, I think we should throw out there, are we saying there's anything wrong with scrolling your phone? No, of course not. This is a neutral commodity. We get to choose how we're going to use it. And like money, you get to choose how you're going to spend it. Like time, you get to choose how you're going to spend it. Unless it's keeping you from your responsibilities, you're avoiding or doing things you ought not be doing, obviously, then it's wrong. But just in itself, scrolling, is it wrong? No. But we need to be aware of some things. And we need to be aware how addictive it is. We need to be aware of how dependent we can become on it, whether it's those notifications for validation or whatever it is, or boredom busters. Um, we need to be aware of how very intentionally this thing is captivating, like intentionally so,
Mhm.
drawing you in, making you stay, feeding you what you want to see. It's emotional imprisonment, and it doesn't just influence, but literally tries to control your thoughts and then your actions and things like that. So we just need to be aware of some things. And I'm going to bring up a verse or two, but I don't want to just go on and on. Is there something you want to insert here?
No, I was just going to apologize for being distracted because there was a UPS truck that was blocked by a line of cows. So
Oh,
you can't get that on a screen. It's right out here and it's stopped in the middle of the road and there's like six cows facing off against the UPS guy. Okay, sorry. Can carry on. Although I will say, when the way you were describing it, it made me think of like when you sit down with a bag of Oreos.
oh,
You
hey,
know, you if you don't, if you maybe if you just take one Oreo out of the bag and go sit down, then it's like setting a time limit, which I'm sure you'll talk about. But if you take the whole bag and then
Mm.
all of a sudden you've eaten that whole stinking bag of Oreos
Which is so easy to do.
yeah, and then you feel like a slug and you're kicking yourself. And that's kind of what I feel like sometimes when I get sucked into the vortex of the what Facebook or whatever social media or just stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad you're gonna have to I'm looking forward to what you're gonna say.
Hmm. And, I'm calling it mindless, but sometimes even just the sheer volume of time, I like to look for I like informational things and I love things that I'm interested in growing in and knowing more about. I love looking for new YouTube videos, somebody new to subscribe to. Oh, wow, look, this homesteader, she's a Christian and I like the way she talks and I like the way I'm gonna follow her and I'm gonna follow. I love finding and discovering things like that, but it's a lot of time and it just next thing you know, you've been a prisoner for a while. Um, I was looking at these couple of verses and reading them in light of what we're talking about today, and it read a little bit differently to me. And it's the first one is 2 Timothy 4, verses 3 through 5. So as we're listening to it, listen to it with just trolling in mind, like screen trolling. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions, and will turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths. But as for you, always be sober minded. And so, Paul is talking to Timothy, and the word sober minded here means to have a clear, self controlled mind, a
Mm,
clear, self controlled, vigilant mind. And he's saying, always be sober minded. And I'm pretty sure when I'm scrolling, I
yeah.
do not have a clear, self controlled mind. I'm just taking stuff in that I'm running across,
Mhm.
and I'm not aware of what's going on around me, of the people in front of me, of the situation that I'm in. And then the other one is in First Thessalonians 5, in context, Paul's talking about the day of the Lord. And listen to what he says starting at verse 4. But you, brothers and sisters, are not in darkness, so that this day should surprise you like a thief. You are all children of light and children of the day. We do not belong to the night or in the darkness. So then, let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober. And so he's using that same word, that sober, that clear, self-control, vigilant mind. And I'm probably stretching it a little bit here to use it, but I just keep thinking about how easy it is for the world's ideas and philosophies and everything else that it wants to gear us, even if it's something as simple as materialism, is gearing us toward those thoughts. How easy it is for us to just take it all in, take it all in, take it all in, take it all in. And I'm not sure it's doing us any favors when it comes to being children of the light and trying to live soberly in
Mhm.
preparation for that day. And I know that God wants his people to be sober minded. So I kind of wanted to start off with that contrast there of what God wants us to be like. and then what are the vortex of what phone usage can pull us into or even turn us into. Think about discontentment and or dissatisfaction with it doesn't have to be material things. It could be relationships and situations and how easy it is to come up with a list of dangers from too much time on our phone.
Yeah. One of my daughters-in-law was telling me that she had read something about something she had read about your kids need to see your eyes.
Mm,
And, and it's not just about seeing your eyes, but having your attention and not trying to get your attention while you're looking at your phone. Of course, sometimes you have to, but for the
mhm.
vast majority of time, they need to know that you matter. And I know that's a separate thing, but it just made me think of it. And also along those lines, slightly off, it's not off the subject. Jordan told me a while back that he had read that one of the highest sources of where children ran into bad stuff was on their grandparents' phone. And so
Oh,
he asked us to not just let, and we don't anyway, just let them have our
don't
phones.
even.
But that was just so, you know, it just makes me so angry to think about all the things that they can encounter. But from a grandparent's phone. So that I know that's a little bit different going away from what you're talking about. I thought about Ephesians 5:16, 15 and 16. Therefore, be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time because the days are evil. And just you may be planning on talking about that, but that's where I find myself. Am I making good use of my time? And sometimes when I'm sitting here, even if I'm doing scripture writing, I feel like I'm constantly being, maybe it's because my mind is just so divided all the time. But I feel, oh, I was supposed to answer that email. Oh, I meant to check on this. Oh, I meant to do that. And so in the middle of doing my scripture writing, I'm being distracted by that. And then when I get pulled over into a screen, then all of a sudden I'm not concentrating anymore. I'm in the middle of something completely unrelated, or maybe even Facebook. And I think, how did I get here? This is not what need to be doing right now. So I'm glad you're talking about this. I need to hear about it.
Yes, and that's exactly how I feel, and probably how everybody listening. That's what happens. It's so much of every so much a part of our life
Yeah.
and the things that we do, and it involves messages and orders and business things and work things, and I mean it's alarms. I mean you name it, we use it, and it's interesting that now they're talking about all these studies about how there's really no such thing as multitasking.
Mm.
We use that word, but your brain doesn't really multitask. And it only focuses on one thing at a time. And all that shifting back and forth, you actually lose time and brain function with it, because once you interrupt yourself to do something else and you think you're doing two things at once, and then when you try and get back to what you're originally doing, it takes your brain a while to get back on track with that. And so that's where I find myself too, is, there's all these great opportunities that we have out there also, but wow, that's why I want to talk about this is how can we have a little bit more control and
Mhm.
rein some of that in. And the phrase I kept seeing over and over again was, I just wanted my life back. I just wanted my life back. And I think a lot of it has to do with control. How much of that can we control? How much of that can we actually have a say in?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
hope we have every say in it.
Yeah. Um, okay, so one of the Epic Times articles that I was reading about this, and also some YouTube videos have come out now about people that it's really almost a movement now, especially with young people trying to go more analog and get away from all the digital stuff. They're really wanting to be old school to kind of set boundaries and get away from it. But they're using statements like, my life was genuinely transformed because of it. And that's after they're trying experiments. I stepped away from my phone for 30 days and this is what happened.
Mhm.
And they're using those kinds of statements. My life was genuinely transformed. Um, and so some of the things I have, I think a few things. six, seven, eight, or nine things. And some of them I've pulled from, there was a YouTube video on how I went phone free and got my life back. And it was this young woman that was talking about how she really felt herself almost, I don't think she used the word addicted, but the way she described it made it sound like an addiction of how much time she was spending just scrolling. And so some were from her, some were for some other things. But first of all, make your phone boring. And I can't remember if we brought this up recently, but you can change your phone and make it grayscale to
Yeah.
where it's not in color. You know, even the colors on our phone are very intentional. There's a lot of thought put into the vibrancy and the things to attract our attention, but you can set it and make it grayscale so that it's less stimulating and less enticing. But you can also make your phone boring by removing some of those apps that you spend the most time on. You know, is it Instagram? Is it YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest? You know, whatever it might be. Or if you can't because you use them in some way with work, you can lock yourself out. So you can lock yourself out of a certain app for 23 hours of the day and only give yourself, you know, a certain hour. Here's my 1 hour time to take care of everything on this app. And then I'm not going to look at it again until tomorrow at this time. So, the objective is make your phone so boring that when you do have those moments, you know, like you've got this wait period or whatever, you pick it up. Even if you did pick it up, it's so boring you don't know what to do with it. Like, and so you're forced to just put it down because, oh, I don't have Instagram on here anymore. What am I
Mhm.
gonna troll? And so that's the idea.
There's somewhere on your phone, and I was going to try to find it, but I can't right now, that if you look at, it'll tell you how many times you've touched your phone that day.
Hmm.
And just looking at that number is like, whoa, is there anything else I touch that many times during the day?
Hmm.
No, there's not. And that kind of, it sort of almost makes me mad. It's like a thief. And
Hmm.
yet I'm the one enabling that thief to take away my time. So I'm curious about those locking yourself out of social, or is it off your phone or off of social media?
The on your phone. Like if you want to,
Okay.
this is just your phone. So if you want to keep that, if you want to keep Instagram or Pinterest or whatever it is on your phone, you don't want to delete the app, you can set it up to where you lock yourself out for 23 hours a day or a certain amount of time so that you
But
can't
not
just
your whole
whenever you,
phone,
huh?
not your whole phone. Like if you needed to make a phone call, you
No,
could.
just that app
Okay.
so that you don't, you know, well, while I'm here, let me check Instagram real quick. You know,
Right.
so you can't do that. So there are things like that that you can set up your own barriers, you know. So if you do need to pick up your phone, and a lot of times just placing it in the other room, you know, instead of keeping it with you everywhere you go, you know,
Mhm.
going up the stairs, I need to take my phone with me. I'm going outside for a second, I need to take my phone with me. All right, so make your phone boring is number one. Number two, I thought this suggestion was interesting, and this was from that young lady that said how I went phone free and got my life back. She said, "Let your childhood guide you." And what she meant by that was think about the things that you used to enjoy as a child and pursue it. Like go back to that because they would have probably all been analog things. And you know, just go back to that and maybe that can be a new hobby. It'll be an analog hobby. It'll be some kind of new interest, if whether it has to do with wildlife or animals or, you know, if you dreamed about being a writer or whatever it was when you were young, you know, go back to that and pursue that. Um, Number three was instead of doom scrolling, try something new or do something hard. And I think that one's probably going to be more difficult because for me, I don't realize I'm doing it.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like I pick up my phone and go, well, I'm going to doom scroll for a little while. And like you said, you think, oh, I need to do this real quick, and then next thing you know, you've also added this, and this. So to me, this one would be kind of tricky because you have to be so much more intentional. You know, you have to catch yourself. I'm not going to waste all this time. It's in the middle of the day. It's at mid-morning. I'm supposed to be doing this, you know, but the idea is try something new because really it's safe and it's comfortable, we think, in our minds, but we're also stimulating. We're seeking that stimulation and entertainment. So
Mhm.
the idea is if you decide I'm going to try something new or I'm going to do something hard that I've been putting off, you're still engaging your mind and stimulating your mind. Only feel a lot better on the other side of it.
Yeah. There's so many things that it's tricky about that because like say I'm going to set my phone down. I'm going to go sew for a while. But oh yeah, the pattern is on my computer.
Hmm.
Or I'm going to go cook, but the recipe is on my computer online somewhere. So, I mean, it sounds like just a lot of self-control and, intentional. We always talk about that, but being intentional about finding ways to do things that keep you away from whatever screen it is that you're tempted to use.
Hmm. Yeah. We talked about on one episode printing off recipes.
Mhm.
First of all, you don't have to have your phone next to you when you cook, but then also, you know how your phone, oh, you said you shared that thing where it doesn't go blank on you when
Yeah.
you're looking at a recipe, and if you liked the recipe, then you can put it in a binder, and then the next time you're just pulling out a binder. And if you didn't like it, you can just throw that piece of paper away. But at least that's one little way of, but like you say, you gotta think about it ahead of time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Number four was get some analog tools. And I thought this was fun because who doesn't love stuff like that anyway? But little notepads and notebooks. Do you remember how we've talked about this before too? But those pocket calendars we used to always use. I loved
Yeah.
those things. But even the little spiral notebooks. Um,
Hmm.
this is that young woman that suggested stepping ways to step away from the phone to get your life back. She said, anytime she thinks, oh, I want to Google that real quick, I want to look that up real quick, instead of pulling out her phone and Googling it, who was that guy who was in whatever movie? She'll pull out her little spiral notebook and write it down. And so that later, when she has her allotted time, she can look it up then. And she said what she discovered is that more often than not, she didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like most of it was not essential. She was no longer interested. She's going
Mhm.
through it later and she was like,
What does that even mean?
no, I'm not going to look that up. Um, so jot down questions that you would normally Google. And number five was to organize. I loved this one also. So instead of spending time on your phone, choose that closet or that junk drawer or whatever it is that you've let get messy and gnarly and go organize it. Because in that same amount of time, say you end up scrolling for half an hour, or even just 20 minutes, think of what you can organize in 20 minutes.
Mhm.
Probably two junk drawers in your kitchen. And again, it's intentional, but on the other side of it, you feel so much better. You've done something productive and you still get a feel good feeling, but in a healthy way. You've done something productive.
Just don't go look up tips to organize your junk
Yeah,
drawer in 15 minutes
figure it out. Use your brain.
and
Yeah.
get sucked in for half an hour.
Oh, I know. Ironically, I was just talking to Neil about time management and, this whole idea of what can I cut out? Well, nothing. So that means the problem lies with me, and I need systems in place. I need better time management skills. And I'm also prepping for this episode. How can we spend less time on our
Yeah,
phone?
on your phone.
How can I organize I'm looking up what systems can I put into place to organize my life and say,
Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
Well, but that's where the information is. That's the whole problem to me with this is that there is a lot of good information that you can find online, but it's the self-control that we've got to have to get what we're looking for and get off.
Hmm.
And maybe, like you say, write it down and then use your 30 minutes to find out later. But my problem is I really need to know how right now to organize my junk drawer.
I know that's the hard part about it. I mean, we could argue that there are tons of really great, smart people all around us, and we could actually engage in communication with real people
Will we
and
call them on
ask
the
them things,
phone?
or figure it out ourselves and use our problem solving skills.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's our life.
It really is.
It's how we operate. It's who we are these days. Number six was get outside. And that was there, I think that was from the newspaper articles talking about how all the things that we do, whether it's not just scrolling, but think about everything that we do that's digital creation. You and I both are involved in that. You know, digital creating, our jobs, our laptops go with us everywhere, our work goes with us everywhere. So it has us spending more time indoors, which isn't great. So choose to spend more time outdoors. Number seven was get creative. I thought this one was fun too. So instead of just reading about and looking at wonderful videos of all these lovely creative things that people are doing, how about doing it yourself? How about
Yeah.
getting in your own kitchen, and baking something or writing something or drawing something or painting something or, make a card and send it to somebody or, you create, you produce, you get out there and use your mind and your God-given talents to do something, plant something, just anything that is something that you can produce to beautify the world around you and help people around you.
Hmm.
So I love that one too. Number eight, think of others tangibly. So I'm adding this one because I tell you what, my default position now, if I'm trying to think of somebody and encourage them, is to send a text.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. And I love getting texts that are for no reason, thoughtful, encouraging things, of course. But man, you know, how much more special would it be to do some sort of tangible outreach and tangible encouragement? So, um, I mean, and there's other ways that not just texting, but think about how easy it is to send a cheerful graphic, or meme or picture to
Mhm.
somebody, or to order a gift from Amazon and have it sent. Everything that we do when we think of others, it seems like comes from some kind of online activity. But next time you want to cheer someone, jot it down in a note or say it to their face. Instead of shipping a gift. Now, sometimes if it's, long distance, of course, this isn't possible, but take some small homemade thing in person, and brighten somebody's day that way. And the digital world is here to stay. So I'm not trying to be some kind of Pollyanna, head in the sand. We can just step away from it altogether and go completely old school. I know that's impossible,
Yeah.
but I do think that we'll probably feel a lot better and be a lot more sober-minded if we are just more intentional about some of the scrolling that we do and instead replace them with some other things. The more real, live, tangible interaction that we have with other people is going to bring more life, real life, to our lives. So I think in some ways, all that time on the phone robs us of that,
Yeah.
what God intended for us.
There's so much good. Like you said, it's here to stay.
Hmm.
And there's so much good that we can do with it. And I maintain that position. And I know you agree with it too, that we use it rather than it using us. But I recognize that when I say that, that I'm not being super honest with myself because I know that I do use it for good things. But I also, when I'm honest with myself, I realize that it's using me.
Hmm.
It's sucking time out of my life. It's distracting me from things I ought to be doing. It's a time waster.
Hmm.
It makes me lazy in a way.
Hmm.
You know, remember when we were kids and had to go use an encyclopedia to find something. And, of course, what we have now is superior in a way because you have the most up to date information as opposed to an encyclopedia that might be out of date. But at the same time, that even that is kind of sad because of screen time and because of the internet and because of instant communication, the world changes constantly. And so information has to be updated constantly. And again, that's not going to go away. That's not going to change. And we have to learn to live with it and learn to have self-control, have and learn to figure out our own boundaries. Obviously using the word of God, using the good sense that he gave us. But I just think we we got to be more intentional about it. We've got to recognize it. We've got to be honest with ourselves and realize what it's doing to us. And I see it. I see it. I don't think I scroll. I don't like Instagram
Hmm.
because it's only on my phone and I guess it's my eyes, I have a hard time seeing things. But if I get on my laptop and Facebook and it's not just Facebook, there's other things that I'm looking at, but it's just there's so many better things that I could be doing. And
Hmm.
I want to be better about this. One of the things that I was reading about, and I kind of focused more on the doom scrolling and I pat myself on the back because I don't doom scroll. I don't look at the news. I'll look at the headlines maybe, especially if something's going on and I need to know what's going on right now. But one of the things that I thought I need to do is to turn off notifications
Hmm.
because I don't have notifications about Instagram. And so I don't check it. But if I do get them for Facebook, I get them for I don't do Snapchat. I just never have learned how to use it. And I don't really want to learn how to use it, honestly. Um, and I know that makes me sound old. I don't care. But notifications, it's like somebody poking you and saying, "Hey, look at me."
Hmm. Hmm.
And sometimes I feel that way even about texts, not from people that I love.
Right.
Because I've always felt like a text is in a way better than a phone call, not only because I don't enjoy talking on the phone very much, but because you can make up your mind about when I'm going to look at it, like if my phone's in the other room, unless my watch is sending me notifications, then I can look at it when I want to. Whereas a phone call is like, answer me, answer, answer. Um, but anyway, I feel like turning off notifications is something that would be helpful probably for a lot of people so that you're just less inclined to open it up and look at whatever it is that somebody's trying to press upon into your mind.
Well, and I wonder how much this sense of importance plays into it, because probably 9 times out of 10, I just made that statistic up, but
Hmm. It's a good
percentage
one.
up, whatever it is, probably 9 times out of 10, it's not urgent or even important.
Mhm.
But we feel like we have to check it right then. Oh, somebody just sent me an email. Oh, somebody just sent me a message. Oh, somebody just replied to
Yeah.
and like you say, those notifications are constantly coming in. And every time you see that little, it's just enough of a movement to where you go, hmm? Because
Yeah.
I
It
don't put
draws
the
your eye.
volume on, especially when Neil's around. I turn the volume off, but I still see out of the corner of my eye. I still see it, and I'm like, oh, hold on, you know.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I imagine we can just let that stuff go. And I love the idea of getting rid of the notifications and instead set times. Here's the time of day when I'm going to be checking all of this. Um, a couple other things, real quick, is you can still seek out those things that you're interested in, the podcast that you're interested in, or the YouTube channel that you're interested in, or whatever it is, but maybe set, boundaries. The only time I'm going to watch this YouTuber is, while I'm on the treadmill or while I'm, folding laundry, or, like in some cases, you can make sure you're doing something else at the same time. And I imagine a lot of people do that anyway. I know I typically do that anyway. It's not like I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I spend time looking for something to listen to, or and I'll just prop it up nearby or something. But so you could do that. Um, and then to replace the opposite of doom scrolling, of course, would be to fill your heart with the Word of God. To keep looking up. Don't look down on your phone. Keep looking up. There you go. And look for ways to praise and glorify God and see Him and the world and people around you, and seek His word, quietly without the distractions. So that's the opposite of doom scrolling. And then the very last one, this is the one that I thought was kind of surprising, is be still. And this was the idea of do nothing, which so goes against everything that's been ingrained in us.
Mhm.
But the suggestion was sit with a cup of tea or coffee and do nothing but stare at the sky or the woods or just on your front porch and do nothing. And I mean, just saying that kind of makes me feel a little bit anxious, like, what do you mean do nothing? You know,
I don't know how to do that.
obviously, if I'm sitting there, and to me, how telling is that?
Mhm.
But the idea was it gives you an opportunity to actually be alone with your thoughts and be alone with God. And we rarely, mouse in the pocket, we statement, of course, but afford ourselves that opportunity because we're always filling that space, that quiet, that time, that moment.
Isn't there a class or something that Neil did about being still or being silent? There was something I remember him teaching, and I didn't ever get to listen to it, but I'm always intrigued by that because I don't know how to do that. I really don't. And I want to be able to be still and be content. I think being content while I'm being still. Not that
Mm,
we all look forward to sitting still. We all say, I just don't have time to sit still.
yeah.
But even if we do, we reach for our phone. We, want to do something. We want to sit and talk to somebody. There's nothing wrong with that. But just to sit and, fill your mind and just count off one after another, a blessing. This is one
Hmm.
of the things that I've been trying to talk to mom about. She's all she can do is sit still. And she'll have Little House on the Prairie going on her TV, or she'll be watching a lesson somewhere. She watches the Katie congregation all the time.
Hmm.
But if she's not, then her mind, she tends to start thinking negatively. And I don't blame her. It's a tough time right now.
Yeah.
But I've just been talking to her about trying to fill that void and fill that space with praise. There's that saying that praise will be your greatest weapon against fear, is the one that it started out. Praise is your greatest weapon against fear. But I think you can fill in that blank fear.
Hmm.
Praise will be your greatest weapon against doom scrolling. Praise will be your greatest weapon against criticism. I think you could just fill that blank in, and it fits here because if you can sit still and praise, think of ways that you can praise, then what a great use of your time as opposed to scrolling social media or scrolling the news, whatever.
And how much of this too, I wanted the darkness and light scriptures because I think in a sense we need our eyes opened to it and to approach it with eyes wide open. That how much of my time, if I really were honest with myself and I forced myself to keep track of my moments of time on the phone that didn't have to be, you
Mhm.
know, what would that even look like? And what it robs me of, not just in time, but in real opportunities, real relationships, the things that God has me here for and wants me to be doing, but I'm not even seeing how captivated I've been,
Mhm.
by this. I'm just not even seeing it. I'm not even catching it. And so making sure we don't lose that ability to see clearly and be mindful of it and be aware of it. And I really think that's just why I wanted to have this conversation. And we really could probably deep dive this into, more like you started out with the whole kids, distracting us from our kids when they want one-on-one attention. But there are so many different more things. It's wreaking havoc on marriages and um, just all kinds of situations like that that we could go into the use of the phone itself. But really, the idea here is to just know yourself. How can you stay sober minded? How can you keep thinking and seeing clearly what God wants you to see, what God wants you to take in? How can, are there some boundaries that need to be set up as you're figuring that out? I just felt like it was kind of important for us to have that conversation.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking that it's okay for us to be thankful for our phones and for the ability to be in contact with each other and the ability to have the news. There's a lot of blessings that come from it. So I don't I don't want to be, throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think
Right.
we can be thankful for it, but I think we have to know who the enemy is. And the enemy, it's not my phone. It's me. It's
Mm-hmm.
my own self-control, or it's me being unaware and unintentionally or intentionally aware of what I'm doing with my time and where I'm spending my time and what I'm putting into my mind. That was one of the other things I thought about this was Philippians 4 and the things, what do we put into our heart and mind? And if it's true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, of good repute, if there's any excellence, anything worthy of praise, think on these things. And a lot of times what we're soaking in from our phone or social media, whatever, is not any of those things. So if we are going to use it, let's try to use it for good,
Mhm.
be the ones who are using it, not it using us, and make sure that what we're taking in is something that's going to make us a better person and not worse.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm in no way, advocating that we use this as a measure of righteousness. I don't,
Yeah, no.
I don't spend as much time on my phone as you do. So,
Yeah,
and looking at, I I feel judgy when I'm out and about and I see families at the table and nobody's talking because they're all staring at their phones. I think it's sad and I do feel judgy, but it's extremely hypocritical because I spend tons of time on my phone that I don't need to be, and it's that I could be making better choices. So I said all that to say I'm not trying to say that this is a measure of spirituality or anything, but this whole conversation is just an awareness. Think about it, think about how you're using it, or if it's using you, and
yeah.
that's
John
all.
and I have had that conversation about families sitting at the table at a restaurant on their phone, and I think we started talking about it because on our drives back and forth to Colorado, we're in the car with each other for 14 hours and we're talking a lot and we're with each other. And then we get out and go inside to eat somewhere and we might be on our phones and we're like, we haven't been on our phones. We've been talking. So
Mhm.
now we are, you just don't know. You don't know the situation. But I felt the same way at the rodeo a couple weeks ago. I was sitting behind, it looked like a grandmother and a granddaughter. And the little girl, she had the phone and she was looking at like dance videos. And it was the kind, she was scrolling from reel to reel to reel, just like for 2 hours. And I just thought, I did feel judgy. I felt like that little girl, she was probably 5 or 6, and then you don't know what she's going to come across on that phone. And maybe that grandmother did have something, some kind of a, protection on there, but I don't know. But it just to me was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I just don't want to put my grandchild's brain into the hands of some person that doesn't care like I care about them. So, yes,
Yeah.
judgy. I was telling myself, Carla, you don't know all of that, blah, blah, blah. But still, it just didn't seem like a wise thing to do.
No. All right. Well, I'm interested in everybody's opinions on this topic. If you have something you'd like to share with us, come visit us at the Facebook page, Looking Up with Kathy and Carla. Come see us there anyway. We have a great community of women that hang out there. And before we sign off, though, Carla, you have something good for us.
Yeah, it's a little something. But have you seen these cards? They are
Oh,
they're
yeah.
cute little day spring. So
Right. Yeah.
Mardell has these, and I love them. And anytime we go to Mardell, which we don't have one nearby, but a lot of places do, I come home with like 20 of them. They're 99 cents each. And they're small, they're little tiny cards. They're probably 3 by 6, but they're just great for when you want to just stick a little note in the mail. And they have all different occasions. It's not just birthday cards or get well cards, but like this one says, amazing, blessed, one of a kind. No matter how you say it, you're special. So it's just like thinking of you.
Mhm.
Um, and most those are the ones that I usually go. But this one says, wow, wow, wow. Congratulations. So it's like a congratulations card. But anyway, they're just little tiny cards, 99 cents. And I know you can get a pack of them for less than that. But if you want something a little special and they're green, so you get them in your
Yeah.
mailbox, they attract attention. They're just fun. I just like them. So Dayspring at Mardell, you might be able to get them somewhere else. I don't know, but I like them.
Yeah. I received a few of those from you through the years, and they're always cheerful, sweet
Yeah.
and cheerful.
Cheerful. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. What are you having for dinner tonight?
Well, it's Wednesday, so we'll go to the church building. But I did try something new at lunch, and it was they were called honey chili chicken tacos. and they were
Yum.
really good. It was really good. You marinate your chicken. It didn't like, you don't have to marinate it for more than half an hour, but it was lime and olive oil and garlic and salt and pepper. And
Mm.
you marinate it for a little bit. And then you cook them. You just saute them. You don't have to add any extra oil. Then take them out of the pan and then you turn the heat off and put like an eighth to a quarter cup of honey, some red pepper flakes, some more lime, um, some fresh garlic, and some soy sauce. And you let that warm up and melt the honey, and then you put the chicken back in there and salt, let it coat the chicken and then put it in your tortilla with, if you
Oh,
have,
it's amazing.
yeah, coleslaw or cilantro or lettuce but oh man, I forgot the feta. That was in the recipe to put feta on. That would have been so good
Yum.
next time. Yeah.
That
So
sounds
those are
really
good.
good.
I'll share
Yeah.
the recipe.
Yeah, I'm not cooking tonight either, but we recently tried sort of a tostada type thing. It was supposed to be, I found a recipe that's supposed to be a take on like the Taco Bell Mexican pizza,
Hmm.
and that it has two corn tortillas, but I didn't want to do it that way. So we ended up doing more open-faced tostada types, but it's just a little small white corn tortillas. You spritz it with olive oil spray and then bake them up in the oven until they're crisp. And then I had ground beef and refried beans and taco seasoning. I cooked the ground beef and then mixed that all together and spread it on there. And then um, topped it with some enchilada sauce. I had red and green, so people could choose the one that they wanted. So everybody topped their own. And then shredded cheese on top of that, and then stick it back in the oven to melt the cheese. And then you can top it with, whatever cilantro,
Mhm.
shredded lettuce, tomatoes, sour cream,
Yeah,
jalapenos,
yeah.
hot sauce, all those good things. It turned out pretty good.
And that can be a low point
Hmm.
meal too, depending on the ground beef that you use. I can always make John happy with tacos style anything. So
And
it's a
we
win.
typically do some variation of something Mexican for that very reason, because I use the fat-free refried beans. I use 93% ground beef. We scanned so many packages of tortillas to see which corn tortillas use the least amount of points.
Yeah.
And then I usually have regular sour cream, and then I'll also make non-fat Greek yogurt mixed with taco seasoning and lime juice or something like that to drizzle on the side for me because it's 0 points.
Mhm.
But, I don't have to put cheese on mine. I don't have to put sour cream on mine. And everybody can kind of, if you want to make it really good and cheesy, you can. And if you want to go lighter on the calories, you can do that too.
Non-fat Greek yogurt has been a game changer for me.
Oh, yeah.
So many different things that it takes the place of sour cream.
Hmm.
But you said mix lime into it?
Yeah, I do that a lot. Freshly squeezed lime juice.
Hmm.
Sometimes I just do that and a little salt and mix it up and then drizzle it on whatever. Like we do a lot of bowls,
Hmm.
either with beans or rice cauliflower or, even a roasted potato and shredded chicken or something on top. Anytime I do any kind of bowl type thing, I like to drizzle. Or if I do salmon cakes, I like to have something to drizzle on top of it. And I'll do Greek yogurt with freshly squeezed lemon and garlic and stuff like that.
I'm really curious, and I'm going to ask you this next week on the podcast. I'm writing myself a note. What are the things that you keep in your pantry, in your refrigerator? Like
Ah.
what are the essentials that you always have? Like
Mhm.
if you go to the grocery store, you always buy it because you have to have it on hand. And one of those for me now is non-fat Greek yogurt. And I
Oh,
don't even
me too.
like yogurt, but mixed, cooked with things and mixed in with things, I do. So next
Yeah.
week, be prepared. I'm going to ask you.
We did a similar thing on the episode called Always, Sometimes, Never.
Yeah, but
Remember
I
that? It
forgot.
was a long time ago, though. We've changed.
Yeah. Were we on Weight Watchers then?
Probably not.
Okay, well, just be prepared.
Okay.
Remind me to ask you if I forget.
Well, I'll forget.
Yeah.
All right, good conversation. We're gonna get off this laptop now.
Yeah. Then I'm going to upload it and blah, blah,
That's
blah.
right. That's right. And all the work I have left to do this afternoon involves my laptop. So there you go. But thank you so much for those who joined us and listened. And we pray for you. We thank God for you. And we're grateful for you. And Carla, I'm grateful for you. And until next time.
Keep keep looking up.
All right. Love you.
Love you. See you later.